Before diving into this incredible story, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell. Every story here has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. Ava Williams stepped out of the taxi, her heels clicking softly on the marble sidewalk of the entrance. The Grand Meridian, one of Chicago's most prestigious hotels. The sky was tinged with orange and purple, the golden light of dusk reflecting off the imposing glass facade of the establishment. A light, cool breeze blew her carefully coiffed hair. She inhaled deeply, savoring this moment, which she hoped would be the prelude to a trouble-free stay. At 35, Ava embodied professional success. A lawyer renowned for her commitment to civil rights, she had climbed each rung of the ladder with determination and integrity. This week, she was scheduled to be the keynote speaker at a major conference downtown. Her speech focused on social justice, a fight she had always held dear. Her perfectly tailored black suit elegantly hugged her curves. Her brown leather bag, her faithful travel companion, hung firmly over her shoulder. In her hand, her phone glowed, lit up, ready to answer emails and work calls. Everything was in order. Her suite, 702, had been reserved 2 months earlier, paid for in full in advance. 2 days earlier, she had even received a confirmation email. Nothing could spoil this important step in her career. She entered the lobby, where the sparkle of crystal chandeliers mingled with the subtle scent of polished wood and the delicate scent of freshly cut flowers. The reception area was worthy of the finest hotels: thick carpeting, a white marble counter, gilded mirrors, and impeccably uniformed staff. But Ava immediately noticed the gaze of the young receptionist, Jenna, a white woman in her mid-20s. Jenna seemed tense, almost uncomfortable, and her eyes avoided Ava's. Without a word, Jenna began typing on her keyboard, her fingers betraying obvious nervousness. I'm sorry, Ms. Williams," Jenna stammered, her voice shaky. "But it looks like we don't have any more rooms available." Ava's heart skipped a beat. She blinked, surprised by the unexpected answer. "Excuse me," she replied calmly but firmly. "I have a confirmed reservation for a suite, number 702. Jenna looked away, still avoiding meeting his gaze. She lowered her voice almost to a whisper. "Yes, I understand, but there's been a problem. All our suites are booked, apparently." A heavy silence fell. Ava felt a deep unease seep into the room, a dull, familiar feeling she knew well. This wasn't the first time her appearance had gotten in the way, that she'd been invisible or shunned in places where she should be welcomed without question. But Ava wasn't one to lose her cool. She squared her shoulders, pursed her lips, and placed her bag on the counter. "Can I speak to the headmaster, please?" she asked, her voice betraying a quiet resolve. A few minutes later, a man in his 50s appeared. He was impeccably dressed in a charcoal gray suit, a neatly tied tie, and wore thin glasses that gave him an air of authority and distance. His name was Richard Miller, general manager of the hotel. Richard greeted Ava with a polite but not warm nod. His cold gaze swept the room as if searching for a solution to what he likely considered a mere inconvenience. "Ms. Williams," he began in a monotone, condescending voice, "I'm sorry, but we've overbooked. I assure you, it's not our fault. We can't accommodate you this time." Ava felt the tension rise sharply in her chest, a mixture of indignation and frustration. She looked around, searching for the few elegant customers seated at the bar, the employees pretending not to hear. But she did not give in. "Mr. Miller," she replied, maintaining firm eye contact, "I paid for this room. This isn't just about reservations, it's about respect and fair treatment. I work with a large company that just happens to be one of your biggest clients. Denying my room without a valid reason is unacceptable." Richard gestured to a burly man in uniform waiting by the door, a security guard, as if to indicate he should act. "I would ask you to kindly leave the hotel, madam." The agent took a step forward, his eyes fixed on Ava, ready to intervene. Facing the security guard advancing toward her, Ava doesn't move. She keeps her head high, her gaze fixed, anchored in her dignity. She feels anger boiling inside her, but refuses to be dominated. She's worked too hard, sacrificed too much, to be crushed so easily. With a sure gesture, she calmly removes her phone from her bag and dials a number she knows by heart. The deep, reassuring voice of Marcus Grant responds almost immediately. "Ava, are you okay?" Her voice cracks slightly, but she pulls herself together. Marcus, I'm at the Grand Meridian Hotel. They're refusing to accommodate me. I showed them my reservation. They confirmed, but now they're telling me all the suites are taken. The manager just asked security to remove me. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I know what it is. This isn't a misunderstanding. This is racism. Pure and simple. Silence at the other end. Then, I'm 10 minutes away. I'll take care of this. Marcus Grant is not just anyone. Vice President at TechCore Inc., one of the largest multinational technology companies in the United States. He has the ear of CEOs, senators, journalists. And above all, he has known Ava since their college days. She was already brilliant back then, and he admired her for her quiet strength. He knows she never asks for help lightly. 10 minutes later, the doors of the Grand Meridian burst open. A small group enters with determination, their footsteps echoing on the marble lobby. At the forefront, Marcus Grant, dark suit, dark look, surrounded by Samantha Lee, elegant and sharp public relations director, and David Collins, head of strategic partnerships, whose name alone is enough to make any sales manager sweat. The nervous hotel staff cast sidelong glances. Jenna, behind the counter, turns livid. Richard Miller, alerted, rushes over from the manager's office. He wears a tight smile, but his gaze betrays concern. Mr. Grant, welcome to the Grand Meridian. What a surprise to see you here. Marcus doesn't shake his hand. Mr. Miller, I'm here to understand why a customer with a confirmed reservation, who is also a keynote speaker at a TechCore-sponsored conference, was humiliated, threatened, and virtually evicted from your premises. Ava steps forward slowly. The room freezes. She takes a deep breath. Then, in a calm voice, she recounts everything. The looks, Jenna's hesitation, the sudden invocation of overbooking, the call to security. Samantha Lee, who had not spoken until then, takes out her phone and begins recording. If I were you, Mr. Miller, I would be very careful with my words now. David Collins approaches Ava. I am sincerely sorry for what you have experienced. And please know that what we have just heard will have consequences. He turns to Miller. Our partnership generates millions of dollars a year for you. If this situation is not resolved immediately and publicly, I will personally terminate our relationship with your hotel group. Trapped, face pale, Richard Miller tries to regain control. Williams, I wish to offer my sincere apologies. There has clearly been an unfortunate error. I will offer you our largest suite, with personalized service, and a voucher for a complimentary stay on the date of your choice. Ava crosses her arms, her face impassive. This isn't about the room, Mr. Miller. It's about respect. And what you've shown tonight is that a well-dressed, educated black woman with a proper reservation can be treated like an intruder, like a threat. She turns to Marcus and his colleagues, nodding to them. Thank you for responding so quickly, but I'm not going to settle for just apologies. Sitting in her suite, hastily offered but now stripped of all prestige, Ava turns on her phone and opens her social media app. She thinks for a few seconds, then begins to type. Each word is weighed, laden with a painful but necessary truth. Tonight, I was kicked out of a luxury hotel despite a confirmed reservation. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't a system error. It was ordinary racism, the kind you hide behind a polite smile or an administrative excuse. I decided to speak out, not for myself, but for all the black people who experience this kind of humiliation every day, in silence. No one should have to prove that they deserve to be treated with respect. She adds a photo of herself in her bedroom, dignified, her eyes calm but resolute. Then she posts. In less than an hour, the post exploded. Journalists share the story. Influencers talk about it. Civil rights organizations offer their support. The hotel's name became a tendency for the wrong reasons. Calls for boycotts are pouring in. Customers are canceling their reservations in solidarity. The day after, CNN, MSNBC, and even international channels are taking up the case. CEO of the hotel group publishes an official press release and announces a immediate internal investigation. The director Richard Miller dismissed, and the implementation of mandatory anti-racism training in all the group's establishments. But for Ava, the most important thing is what she reads in the private messages she receives. Thank you for saying what we experience every day. Thanks to you, I feel less alone. You gave me back my confidence. And this time, it's she who inspires. not in the silence of a hotel lobby, but in the din of a world finally listening to her. A few weeks later, the Grand Meridian is no longer the same. Where institutional arrogance once reigned, there is now a thrill of genuine change. Employees have undergone a series of intensive trainings on racial bias and microaggressions. Faces are more attentive, gazes more open. The lobby, once a symbol of luxurious coolness, seems to breathe a new atmosphere, less icy, more human. That evening, the hotel is organizing a round table entitled Hospitality, Inclusion, and Dignity, in partnership with several NGOs and companies in the sector. Cameras are present. The media are covering the event live. On stage, civil rights experts, opinion leaders, and above all, Ava Williams, who has become, despite herself, a key figure in the fight against discrimination in prestigious places. The audience holds its breath as Edward Lang, the new CEO appointed after the dismissal of Richard Miller, speaks. His tone is serious, measured, visibly imbued with respect. We made a grave mistake. We failed in our fundamental duty to welcome every human being with respect. Tonight, I want to publicly thank Ms. Ava Williams, not only for her courage, but for demanding that we face the truth. Without her, this change would not have happened. The room applauds. The cameras focus on Ava, who remains her usual calm, but whose eyes betray a deep emotion. She takes the microphone. Her voice is calm and firm. I never sought to become a symbol. I came here to rest, like everyone else. What I experienced was not an isolated incident. It is the reflection of a system that discriminates without visible violence, but with chilling effectiveness. What I hope is that my story can open a door for others, that this place, and so many others, become truly welcoming for all. What most of the public doesn't know is that alongside this media coverage, Ava has been quietly taking legal measures. Shortly after the incident, she contacted a team of lawyers specializing in civil law. She had collected testimonies, CCTV footage, internal emails, and had decided to wear complaint against the establishment and against Richard Miller personally for proven racial discrimination, attack on dignity, and psychological danger. But instead of a public trial, Ava agreed to a confidential mediation under one condition: that the Grand Meridian finances a scholarship and internship program for young people from minorities wishing to work in luxury hospitality. An initiative now called Ava Williams Fund for Equitable Hospitality, and which allows dozens of young people, each year, to follow training in prestigious establishments. The symbol is strong. A woman who, humiliated at the entrance to a hotel, becomes the key to structural change, not out of revenge, but out of a desire to build a different future. Since then, Ava has been invited to speak at several international conferences on diversity and inclusion. She has written a hard-hitting essay, published in The Atlantic, titled Luxury Has No Color, praised by thinkers like Roxane Gay and Ta-Nehisi Coates. She is even in discussions with a publishing house to publish a book about her experience, mixing personal narrative and social analysis. But despite this growing recognition, Ava remains true to herself. Understated, profound, more interested in real impact than notoriety. And when young Black women write to her, telling her they felt seen, heard, defended, she knows that all of it, the pain, the exposure, the struggle, was not in vain.